Okay, so Will Fleury, you're very welcome back. I think it was last July you were in studio with us, or just before last July, and you were going into Bellator 208?
214.
214.
I think, maybe it was. 203 actually. Maybe.
203, sorry, in Rome last year. We're both wrong.
Way off.
You were up against the Macedonian fighter Amadovsky. You were quite confident going to that fight. You were telling us how you were going to beat him. For people who might have missed that fight in Rome last year, tell us what happened.
I got knocked out in the first round, basically, and that was extremely disappointing, obviously. You know, it was extremely frustrating from my point of view because, look, this was my opportunity. This was like my coming out party nearly, I felt like. And I feel like I got it all right in the camp. You know, physically, everything went perfectly. I was in very good shape. I prepared as well. Like, I'm not somebody who'd leave any stone unturned in that situation. I felt like my preparation had been very good, but I do feel like I let myself down on the night just with my attitude.
How so?
I kind of felt like I was entitled to win that fight. You know, I did. I looked at him. I saw his skill set. I was thinking, like, I'm a way better martial artist than this guy. And this is just like a celebration of how good a martial artist I am. So, look, the game doesn't work like that and life doesn't work like that. You get out there and you take every opportunity that comes your way. I didn't feel vicious on the night. I didn't feel that fear, that kind of switched on, you know, primal instinct to just get rid of the guy.
Because that was your first defeat. So did you feel that primal instinct, that fear in all your previous fights?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What's that like?
Oh, it's overwhelming. Like, it's that flight or fight response, you know, and it's the extreme of it because you're going to go out in front of everybody you know and it's all going to be exposed anyway. So there's all of those fears playing in your head. And then it becomes, there's no flight anymore. It's just fight. So you just, and like, I love that period. There's like that window 20 minutes before the fight. Everything just calms down in your mind and you're just like, okay, let's go. And I thrive in that. Like, I love that environment. Like, I love the pressure. You know, like, it's horribly uncomfortable building up to it. But then you get to that little window and you have that gap where it's like everything is quieted down. Now it's just your fight. I never really got to that point in Rome. And look, you know, could I have put myself there? Could I have made myself more nervous before the fight? Yeah, probably. I could have thought about things and I could have done things slightly differently in that, like, couple of hours beforehand. But yeah, I think, like, you just have to have a natural kind of fear in you because it's 4-ounce gloves. It can be over, especially with bigger guys. It can be over very quickly. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are.
And when does that fear usually come? Is it when you're about to walk into the cage? Is it earlier on in the day?
Way before. Oh, yeah, like, as in, look, the weeks leading up to it.
Right.
Like, yeah. But the real, like, the stomach turning kind of stuff, yeah, probably the Wednesday of fight week.
Okay.
All that sort of stuff starts. And then it goes away 20 minutes before the fight.
And presumably it dissipates further when you start a fight pretty well and you have your opponent pinned up against the cage, which is what happened against Amadovsky.
Yeah, and I like, look, that's another factor. I think I kind of switched off because the takedown was so easy. The flow, I was even listening to, like, Mike Goldberg commentating on the fight and talking about how I trained with Johnny Jitsu, and you
could hear this while
yeah.
Right.
And even, like, I was able to, like, I was talking to him in the bus afterwards and I was able to recall his commentary, like, so it was bizarre. It was really surreal, like, but look, you get in, you get it done, and if you don't, you have no excuse. And I have no excuse. It's incredibly frustrating. I messed up with my attitude on the night. I felt like as good a martial artist when I woke up the next morning. I know I'm still a world-class fighter. I know I can still go out there and beat anyone on my day. So it's just about getting the opportunity, like, and that's probably been the most frustrating thing, getting the opportunity to redeem that, and it's taken so long.
Well, can you put into words what that feels like when you've got the upper hand initially, it turns around, and then all of a sudden, it's fight over?
It's fight over before you know it. Like, my first...
You don't have time to think about it.
Just, like, the first thing I knew was Dan Murgliala was putting his arm around me. And I said, did that just happen? And I could see him running around celebrating. And he was like, yeah, buddy. And there was just shock, complete shock. And then I went back to the dressing room and I was just like, right, can I see it? Like, because I wanted to just see a clip of it, you know. And I'd remembered, like, the takedown, he got back up, I could have trapped that inside wrist. All these little sequences in my head, like, you know, you're super switched on mentally at that point in time. And all of that was there. And then it was just those couple of seconds and it was just over. So, yeah, it's just bizarre.
And when you get to watch it back initially, what are you thinking?
Why is my hand down?
Right.
So I threw a teep and my hand was here. And he came over the top and he hit. Now, he followed it up really well. So he landed like 3 in quite quick succession. But if my hand was up and I was framing, and I drill that loads, you know, for teep.
Presumably it's fairly basic.
Yeah, it's not something that, you know, you should be leaving a window for.
The thing is, when it comes to MMA, especially if you compare it to boxing, the thing that's kind of thrown out there is, well, people are fighting a lot more. It's more regular. So the positive is when you're an MMA fighter, you get to redeem yourself pretty quickly, except in your case.
Yeah.
What happened?
I was told originally I might be getting a card in America in kind of October time. So I was all guns blazing for that. I was, you know, mad to get back in there. And then that got pushed back. And then they said, look, we're going to put you on the Dublin card. You're an Irish guy. They planned the Dublin card for December originally. For some reason, that fell through. So when I found out that Dublin card wasn't happening, I was extremely frustrated, obviously. But they rescheduled for February, and here we are. But it's been, look, I've always, like, you know, if they'd given me the opportunity to fight 2 weeks later, I would have been in there. And it's incredibly frustrating when you're just denied that chance to redeem yourself. Like,
I can imagine. Like, how do you even keep yourself occupied? Because you're not actually in camp either. You're actually training towards an end goal that's not tangible.
Yeah, I suppose you just think about increasing your skill set all the time. And, like, are you becoming better at this? Are you becoming better at that? So you set smaller little targets and you say, like, I'm going to work this game for a couple of weeks and I'm going to get better at doing this for a couple of weeks. But that can only last so long. And, like, you need to be making money out of this. And, you know, if you're not fighting, you're not getting paid. So it was frustrating. It's been a frustrating period.
So you were saying you were working on the doors around Dublin for a while. Are you still doing that at the moment?
Yeah.
Presumably then there's always that worry that, can I ever make a living off this thing?
To a degree, yeah. But, like, I suppose I consider myself very good because I've seen what I can do to people who are very good. So it's just getting the opportunity and doing it when you get the opportunity. I don't doubt that I can make a pretty good living out of this, but it just hasn't quite come to fruition yet.
It kind of will take one break.
Yeah, and this opportunity is huge. And, like, I feel that. I feel like February 23rd is going to decide the next couple of years of my life, basically, you know, and where it's going to go from here. And the potential is pretty much unlimited. And it's like, look, hard work means opportunity. This is your chance now.
Yeah.
Get in there and smash it, like.
When you talk about the little things you try to tweak in your fight game during that kind of period when you're unsure when your next fight would be, what are those things and what have you improved on?
So, like, physically as an athlete, I've gotten a little bit bigger. So I put on a bit of size. Like, I went up to about 98 kilos in between when I found out the December card wasn't happening and I knew it was going to be February. I knew I'd have a good period of time. So one of the things I've always kind of lacked, like, I've a ridiculously low heart rate. I'm incredibly kind of, like, I can maintain a very high output, but my maximal, like, explosive effort wouldn't have been crazy. Like, I wouldn't have had that kind of nervous system pop, like. So I worked on doing that, like, and I did a lot of, like, plyometrics and that sort of training and, like, heavy weight, like, kind of low rep heavy weights. I've gotten a lot more explosive for sure. But, like, yeah, and then just increasing little skill areas in the game, like, you know, my leg lock game, I worked on quite a lot just because there was a load of guys over in the gym who were coming in and out for a few weeks who were great leg lock guys. And one of the guys I was living with, Tyrone, he's an amazing leg lock guy. So I was just drilling with him, you know, week in, week out. And little areas like that will improve in your game. And even then, I just did some straight up boxing for a couple of weeks and did, like, a kind of a burst of that. So there's always some, like, look, MMA is such a wide variety of skills. You're never going to feel like you're good enough at everything. So I'm always like, I want to get better at this, I want to get better at that, and it's that kind of the enthusiasm to keep pursuing that knowledge and keep pursuing that kind of, you know, the skill set that you think you'll need to get out there and get it done. Like,
you have the sound of a man who's itching to get back in there.
Oh yeah, like, as in, this thing, it's an incredible opportunity for me now, but it's taken so long to come about. So all the training, like, look, you can't, you know, nobody can keep you down, only yourself. And I kind of feel like I haven't let myself get disheartened by this. I haven't let myself go away from this. Like, I've been in there, I've been training non-stop, I've been ready non-stop. Now it's finally happening, like.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, okay, the potential here is huge. Like
it clearly is, and the potential as well from, I guess, an MMA standpoint within Ireland is huge as well, which I do want to touch on. It's 3 Arena, February 23rd. The question I have now, after everything you said, is: are you feeling that fear now?
Yeah, 100%.
You got it back.
Yeah. No, it's there.
Why? Why is now different to what happened last summer?
I think I expected to win so much. Like, as in, look, it's pretty rare to go undefeated for as long as I did. Like, I went 14 fights, 7 amateur, and then I had like 2 in the reality series, and 4 pro. So I was at 13 fights, undefeated, and like none of those fights were close. I dominated all of them. Like, it was pretty consistent of just like never really been in any serious trouble in those fights. I'd be quite smart, even with my sparring sessions. Like, I very rarely get myself in bad positions, and I'm good at just recognising where I can beat somebody. I saw lots that I could beat in this guy, and then I took that opportunity early as well. So I got that takedown easy, and I just thought, this is easy. And there was that expectation of victory. You felt it, like entitlement, was a terrible thing, because like you got there because you worked that hard. You are who you are because of the work you've put in. So I kind of got away from that attitude, and I was like, no, you're Will Fleury. You're the guy who just shows up and wins. You're this incredible fighter, and it's not. You're a guy who works unbelievably hard.
Yeah, it's very interesting because as I think any sports person really, now it mostly happens in the fight game, that people are very confident in telling everybody how good they are, in terms of telling people how they expect to win. And the reason why everybody does that is because it works. That positive psychology works. So I'm sensing that there is a very thin line here between expectation and entitlement when it comes to being a fighter. Would you say that you kind of crossed over to the entitlement line?
Yeah, so like it's something like, look, I grew up watching Munster Rugby, and I kind of love that attitude of like, it's just the honesty of your effort and the honesty of like you going out there and putting it all on the line, and that's what's going to get you over there. But there is a psychology within just being like, no, I'm better. I'm actually better than you, and I can do things better than you can, and I'm training in a better environment than you are, and just what I do, you won't be able to match. There's a positivity within that, but there is, like you said, there's like, when does it become an entitlement, and when does it start to seem like it's kind of a thing that's stopping you? Like, I think if you can have that and still have the fear, it's a good thing.
Like, how do you manage that is the question then, isn't it?
Something I've struggled with, like, obviously, So yeah, like, I suppose it's that case of like, you still have to be super aware that this game, and like I said, I won so much, I probably switched off to the fact that defeat was an option. Like, because every time I'd fought in my life, it'd have been big build up, really nervous, great buzz afterwards. You feel amazing, everybody's congratulating you, everything's going well in your life. This time around, it was like, great build up, great buzz, all that, and then won.
But like, that's the other thing I don't even think of, actually. It's the idea of just missing that buzz of victory. You haven't had it for a while just because of the long layoff. It was the fight before. What are we talking, 12 months at this point?
March 2nd was the last fight. Yeah, so not far off, It's been nearly a year since I've had a win. 11 months without the sweetest thing in sport. Yeah, and it like, that feeling, it's incredible, like, as in, it's just all the positive brain chemistry you've ever had flooding into you, like, and it's, I think, like, it's one of the main reasons people fight, like, because there's that such a massive wave of relief, then a wave of joy, and then you meet people, like, who are so happy for you, and it's all super positive, like. And then even, like, one of the worst things about losing as well, like, I don't feel that differently about myself. I know who I am, and I know what I'm, like, capable of, and I know that I can go out and make a good career out of this still. But it's the people who kind of invested in you, and the people who you feel like you've let down. That's kind of the most horrible part. And you meet those people over the next couple of weeks, and they're kind of like giving you a smile and a bit of like, but you're like,
it's tough to see.
It's horrible, like, it really is. And like, I think, you do.
Who are those people in your life?
Sorry?
Who are those people in your life?
Friends, fans, like, people I meet in the gym, and people I've trained with over the years. A lot of, like, the amount of goodwill I had going into that fight, and the amount of people who, like, told me, I love your attitude, it's inspiring, it's getting me through this, whatever. And then you feel like you've gone and screwed that, and, you've let everybody down in a way.
Is there a guilt attached to that?
Yeah. But, like, the thing is, I feel like it was the guilt of that attitude, because, like, the work was done. I didn't let myself down. Like, even I look at all the numbers that I was putting in at the time and the training sessions I was doing, and I was documenting everything, but like, it was just that mental switch off of like, sure, you show up, you win, you do this thing. But it's easy to sit here and say that. I want to have that opportunity to get out and prove it again. Like, show, look, I'm someone who puts in the work to perform properly. Let me get in there and perform properly.
Yeah. So Sean Taylor is your opponent on the 23rd of February.
Yeah.
What's this guy like? Are you a superior fighter to him?
Yeah, Sean's 8-1, which is a very good record for a pro. It's pretty rare anybody would have that level of kind of. He's not been fighting that much recently, but to have an 8-1 career and then to kind of go away from the game, which it seems like he has, is kind of strange. He's good. He's experienced, and he's got a half decent jiu-jitsu skill set, but he's not really a middleweight. He's fought at welter most of his career.
Yeah, you described him as a fat welterweight.
Yeah. And he is. That's what it is. He's a guy who's put on a bit of weight who can't get to welterweight anymore. No, that's not to say he's not a solid fighter. He'll come with weapons on the night, and he's 8-1 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So he's no joke.
No.
But I want that challenge. I could have taken a much easier fight for this, but I want to show I can beat guys like this.
Is there any particular area that you're going to target him with?
Yeah. My range is going to be a lot better than his, and he's going to have to close that distance. That's going to be a dangerous window for him.
And you've worked on that as well. You said you've been working on your stand-up game.
Of course, yeah.
And I do get the sense that in your weight class you do have that reach advantage over most of your opponents.
Some, but look, I've fought guys who were 6'5", 6'4" before, and even I think it's all how you use it. It's all how your footwork is, and you can be a smaller guy and still have incredible range. But yeah, I would be longer than a lot of people I've fight.
Like we mentioned there a moment ago, the opportunity that it says for Dublin MMA. We were speaking before we clicked record here about July 2014, which everybody remembers. That we're not here to take part at moment in the 3 Arena. This is probably the biggest night for Irish mixed martial arts since then.
Yeah, the build-up has been totally different to anything I've experienced before. It's just been, I got given a couple of hundred tickets and they were sold out within a couple of 2-3 weeks. So it was incredible. And just the level of support that I felt obviously Irish people are great like that in general. When you have something coming up, people will get onto you and they'll be encouraging you, whatever. But this time it's been mad, as in the amount of people, just the amount of goodwill out there. So look, yeah, it's going to be a great night. And Irish MMA fans are some of the best in the world. I'm sure they'll do themselves proud on the night. It'll be an unbelievable atmosphere, I'd say. And
a huge night for Bellator as well, on Sky Sports for the first time.
Yeah, well, actually, this Michael Venom Page card at the weekend is going to be on. But it's at 3 in the morning. So it'll be the first prime time card they're putting on. And look, that's a game changer. Sky coming on board has made everything just that little bit more legitimate, that little bit more okay, this is a recognised sport now. And, it's what the sport deserves. You look at the standard of the guys who are going to be fighting on this card, and you go back 15, 20 years ago, or not even 10 years ago, and you look at some of the guys who are considered the top martial artists in the world, most of these guys in the undercard will have as good an overall skill set as those guys. So, the sport, these guys are professional athletes and they deserve to be treated like professionals. But
it's interesting you mention that, because it does seem to me that the quest for legitimization took a bit of a backward step after what happened in Vegas last October. And I think, to be fair, there was an element of people who were just waiting for the opportunity to jump on the sport as well.
Yeah.
But ultimately, there was legitimate reasons for taking that back step as well. How did you feel after that and everything that was written around that event?
So I think it's important to separate prize fighting and the sport.
Sure.
As in martial arts and prize fighting are two very different things. And look, I know I'm a prize fighter and I'm a professional mixed martial artist. But the reason I love this game is because of the competition and because of the kind of I suppose, the community and the respect within martial arts. You don't see much of that because fans don't really want much of that. As in, there's lots of great guys who are fighters. There's lots of brilliant men who are world champions in MMA. Nobody pays any attention to those guys. People focus on the negative and they focus on, the outrageous. And if some guy comes in, he's being very polite and very nice, it doesn't create a headline. Whereas if somebody comes in, they're talking all sorts of tripe and, there's something really controversial said, all of a sudden that's plastered on every media site. That guy's getting major attention now. He's got more traffic. Sponsors are more interested in him. So in a way, it's kind of what people pay attention to is what will be fed more. And you can't blame these fighters for going out there and wanting to kind of promote themselves a bit more by doing outrageous stuff. I don't think what happened in October was any way deliberate. I don't think that was, something that was, intended. And obviously, look, it's just not great in general for, you know, any fan of the sport. You don't want to be seeing that sort of stuff. But like, it's the nature of high level, you know, there's guys in the cage fighting each other, like, so I suppose the security needs to be ramped up a bit in those situations, like.
Well, we don't need to worry about that for the time being anyway. So give us a prediction, yourself versus Sean Taylor. How's it going to go?
Yeah, late first round TKO.
Late first round. And another last question I wanted to ask you, because it's been 8-9 months since we last caught up. Where do you see yourself in 12 months' time?
So I want to fight regularly this year, and I think Bellator have made a huge investment in Europe. So they've come over and they're saying, like, look, we're here and we're doing 6-7 shows here a year in, like, Europe overall, and they're all going to be broadcast on Sky. If there's 6-7 shows going this year, I'd love to fight 4 or 5 times, and I'll be ready and I'll be in shape. So it could be a very different story if I've fought 4 times in the last year and beat 4 high-level opponents, you know. Again, like, I'm not looking too far ahead. I've got Sean Taylor on the 23rd of February. That's my chance. That's my window of opportunity. I've got to smash that, get through it. And, you know, then I'll focus. Like, I'm going to be in good shape at the end of that regardless. So hopefully there's another card in Europe sometime, maybe even in the States, and try and fight regularly this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, after you beat Sean Taylor in the first round, we'll catch up there again and we'll get the rest of your plans for 2019. Very best of luck, Will.
Cheers. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it must be incredibly frustrating just to, like, have that lingering over you for months and months and months and not being able to put it right.
Yeah, you can sense it there. Even without listening to him, his body language as he's talking, to have to wait. What's that? 6 months ago? When was the
7 months? Yeah.
7 months. That's absolutely huge. I mean, generally speaking, you know, football and environment, that, you know, that bad defeat, the bad individual performance, very quickly get it out of your system. We talk about a midweek game where you got to wait. Sometimes you think, I got to wait a whole week. you know, to get it out a whole week. This is a whole, like, 7 months. Particularly when you know you've come out of a fight and you can sense it there. Will, he was talking about his kind of defensive technique. He's obviously disappointed in himself. Just amazing, isn't it? Just the basics let you down. In football, it's the same. Most sports, I think, are the same. Even at the highest level, sometimes the very basics you just don't do for some reason. That kind of really grates at you. You sense his frustration there. But Toddy spoke very well, like, you know what I mean? Very intelligent speaker, and you suspect, like, if he does get that opportunity, which is coming down the road, he's going to take it. He's not going to pass it up.